Oh my god.
You're goddamn right.
So I think that whether or not you were impatient enough to see this episode 5 days ago when it leaked like I did, or you just finished watching it now, yeah, we can all agree that this is probably the greatest episode of Game of Thrones ever. Yeah. Okay. You know, I don't think it's perfect, and I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for that, but I'm going to quickly, before I just start worshipping all the great stuff in this episode, because this is definitely a case where we have so many legendary moments, so many epic, grand, perfect moments, that it kind of overshadows some of the weaker stuff in this episode. And for me, my sort of biggest problem with this episode is the fact that they had the whole Arya and Sansa storyline in this episode, because I feel like whenever, you know, they cut to that part, it just kind of took away from the flow and the momentum, sort of the energy and the tension that was built so well throughout, you know, with the Beyond the Wall stuff. And whenever they cut back to the Arya and Sansa stuff, it just took away from the level of suspense that we were feeling. And I think that we can all agree that it would probably have been better if the Arya and Sansa stuff was sort of moved to last episode or maybe next episode. And so, I mean, there was some alright stuff there. You know, Brienne is going to go to King's Landing to talk to Cersei, and obviously Sansa finds out that, you know, Arya's a faceless person, and then Arya goes a little bit psycho.
You like Huey Lewis on the news?
But, you know, I don't really care about what's going on there. It's just, I'm still, after seeing it for a couple of days now, I'm still kind of like struggling to cope with the fact that that actually happened. Now, one of the things, I want to talk about this quickly before I talk about the episode, one of the things that I think Game of Thrones is really famous for, and one of the things that sort of sets it apart from other shows, is that it's kind of known for being able to subvert the audience's expectations, right? Sort of, you know, we think something's going to go one way, but it takes it in a completely different, you know, direction, right? That's pretty much from season 1 up to Battle of the Bastards. That's kind of what Game of Thrones has been famous for. But pretty much ever since Battle of the Bastards, pretty much ever since Ramsay died, and, you know, we found out Jon was a Targaryen, and then we've had this whole season, I feel like it's just been nothing but, you know, the writers just delivering on all the desires and all the wishes that fans have been asking for over the years. I mean, I could have only dreamed of seeing an ice dragon. In fact, when I finished episode 5, I remember thinking to myself, imagine, you know, Daenerys comes and saves Jon and the other guys, and the Night King kills one of the dragons, preferably Viserion, because that's kind of the irrelevant one, and turns it into an ice dragon. Imagine how cool that would be. Imagine getting to actually see an ice dragon with your own eyes in Game of Thrones. I no longer have to imagine. I mean, it's just so good. I mean, this whole season, I feel like, has just been about satisfying the fans, you know, and this is by far the most satisfying episode, even though it's not exactly a good, sort of happy ending. But I feel like after finishing this episode, I kind of felt like a sense of catharsis in the fact that, you know, you kind of feel relieved and happy, but at the same time, you know, it's like you feel so many different emotions after you finish it, and that's effective filmmaking. Okay, let's just kind of recap, I guess, sort of like what happened. We were talking about some of the Sansa and Arya stuff, but I do think this is going to be quite a long recap because we have a lot to talk about. And we first start off with, you know, the Suicide Squad or the Magnificent Seven or the Avengers Beyond the Wall, whatever you want to call them. They're walking, you know, to find a White Walker, and one of the things I really loved about this first bit is that, you know, you get to see each character interact with each other, whether they're meeting for the first time or it's kind of like a reunion. You know, you get to see the Hound and Tormund talking about Brienne. You get to see you know, Gendry and Thoros, and Jon offering Longclaw to Jorah. He says, you know, it's yours now, take care of it. All this stuff is really just satisfying dialogue that fans have been wanting to hear for a very long time, and it was just, the only way you could describe it is that it's very, very satisfying. Another thing that I really liked about this episode in terms of the dialogue and the conversations is Tyrion and Daenerys' conversation about heroes, because it's really self-aware. And one of the things that I've said about this season is just how self-aware it is. And this is yet another self-aware moment from the writers addressing the fact that Dario, Drogo, Jorah, Jon, all of these guys are heroes. They do dumb shit. And the one thing they have in common is that they're in love with Daenerys. And I like that they're really sort of building the romance between Daenerys and Jon, especially at the end of the episode. We'll talk about that in just a bit. But yeah, I really like that. And then I love how Daenerys says, you know, Jon is too small for me. And then she looks at Tyrion and says, oh, I didn't mean it that way. You know, just these little self-aware moments is really what make this season and this episode so great. Now, the next scene is what can only be described as the Revenant scene, in which Thoros of Myr and a couple of other people are getting mauled by White Walker polar bears which are on fire. That is a sentence I never thought I would ever hear myself say. And that's also something I would never imagine I would get to see. And this was just such a cool and fun surprise. I mean, White Walker polar bears, like, what? Like, that's so cool. And, you know, Thoros, he gets mauled, and, you know, with the flaming sword, by the way, it's incredible. And yeah, he kind of dies when they're on the platform, and I love that when they're running to the platform. It's so well directed. And this episode is directed by Alan Taylor, who has directed some really great episodes of Game of Thrones, such as the one where Daenerys first gets to see Unsullied, I believe. But he has also directed films like Thor: The Dark World, which is my least favourite MCU film, and also Terminator Genesis, which is my least favourite Terminator film, I think. Yeah, but he's now back doing what he does best, which is directing truly epic Game of Thrones moments, and he does such a great job. I mean, this is an episode that looks great, it sounds great, and the direction is on point. Also, I just want to put this out there, but am I the only one who thinks that this scene, this shot right here, looks like it's straight out of Jurassic Park? I'm just saying. And one of the things I love so much about this episode also is that I love how Daenerys also has like a different outfit for like every like weather type and like every sort of situation. And also when she says this to Tyrion,
you told me to do nothing before and I listened to you. I'm not doing nothing again.
I was just like,
Well, I'll be double dog damn.
I also loved when they ambush the White Walker, and my favourite moment from that scene is when they're trying to like subdue that little one like White, and then Tormund just drops his axe and just decks the White.
Get down, girl, go ahead, get down.
And you know, when they're standing on the platform and the ice starts to break, and all hell breaks loose, you know, the White Walkers start coming. I was just like, you know what, this is really, really good stuff. And when the slow motion happened, you know, that little bit where they were kind of like at the psychological and physical low point, and I was just like, you know, this is really good stuff. But I was also thinking in my mind, this isn't as good as Hard Home, or Battle of the Bastards, or the Loot Train Attack in terms of the actual action sort of filmmaking. And then Daenerys comes in, and I'm just like, she just fucks shit up. And I mean, that is probably the most satisfying moment of Game of Thrones I have. Like, I straight up got up and cheered, and the last time I can remember doing something like that was when Joffrey died, right? I mean, it's so great. It's just so good. It's so good. Like, I am fanboying here. I'm not even joking. Like, I know that when you're reviewing and recapping stuff like this, you shouldn't sort of let your emotions take over. But I mean, like, it's not every day you see like 3 dragons in the north just raining shit on everyone. I mean, oh, and then the Night King. I mean, first of all, these White Walkers, man, especially the Night King.
They just fuck you and they fuck you and they fuck you. Then just when you think it's all over, that's when the real fucking start.
And when he threw that spear, I mean,
motherfucker.
And when all the dragons were just breathing fire and like all hell was breaking loose on that like lake, I was just like,
there's a real beehive of activity. This place is hot. Very hot.
And then Benjen Stark comes out of nowhere. I mean, like, and I feel so sorry for the actor. He just turns up in like 10 seconds and he just gets completely, metaphorically and literally demolished. That was like such a good sacrifice and a great character sacrifice. But it was a nice surprise, just like the polar bear thing and Jon escaping, you know. And one of my favorite scenes, obviously, is in the boat where, you know, Daenerys sees the heart like wound, and you know, Jon calls her Danny and all that stuff. It was just so great. I mean, it really was. And obviously we end this episode with the Ice Dragon. I mean, I honestly did not think that HBO, Game of Thrones, the writers, had the balls to do an Ice Dragon, but they did. And I have so much respect for them and so much love for them for doing that. I mean, next episode is going to be really good. Like, really good. I don't know if it's going to be better than this episode, but I hope it is. Because, like, I mean, Ice Dragon. I'm just going to leave you with one final thought. Now, in the world of Game of Thrones, we have an Ice Dragon. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. Thank you.